I'm Monique Brazeau, and I want to share with you some really nice experiences I've had and some unexplained, actually, activities in my life. So, started when I was young, and sometimes I would think about something, and 2 minutes later it would really happen. Didn't know what it was. Like for instance, one time I went fishing with a friend of mine, and we left some friends on an island somewhere, and suddenly in my head it's like I heard a real boom, real explosion kind of thing. And I thought that was really odd. And a few minutes later, well, the boat hit something. So I don't know what it was, if it was a rock or something caught in the, but it made a really, really terrible sound, which I thought that was strange, but it coincided with what I just heard. Another time I was in the car with my dad, and I had a flash, something flying, and I told my dad, just move lane, change lane, just change, and he didn't know why, so he just moved lanes, and 2 seconds later, there's a car on the other side of the curb, and the hubcap came flying and hit the back window in the car. And I think if we would have been in the other lane, it would have hit my dad right beside his head. So that was pretty strange. Another time in the car with my dad is I saw another flash. I didn't know what it was. And I said, we're going to have an accident. Something's going to happen. And 2 seconds later, like we were in traffic, bumper to bumper, and we had to stop really quickly. And right in front, there's a guy that rolled in on the van, on the side of the van in front of us, and fell on the hood of our car. And I didn't know what was happening. So that guy tried to cross the street with a person in a wheelchair, right in the middle of traffic. And the van in front of us hit the wheelchair. And so that just happens just a few seconds before, like my flashes, just a few seconds before things really happen. So that's been going on throughout my life, and now I guess I recognize the signs. I don't necessarily know what's gonna happen, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to be able to sense something before it happens.
Fascinating.
Yes. Other experiences were dreams. They happened years before the event actually happens. So one time I was dreaming I was in a big city on a bus, and while we're driving in the bus, riding in the bus, I can see a big golden lion and a guy with like kneeling with a globe or half a globe on its head. And then we see an overpass, and it's Greg and I in the bus, and there's two people with us, a lady and a guy. I didn't know who it was at the time of my dream. And then there's an overpass, and the driver comes on the microphone. It says, sorry folks, we're gonna have to take a little detour if you don't mind, because these people missed their stop and they're a little lost. So if it's okay with you, we'll just take a few minutes. So I told Greg my dream, the next day, and we had no idea what that was or where that was. So about 3 years after that, his sister and Tom, Zita and Tom, invite us to go to Las Vegas. I'd never been to Las Vegas, and I must say I had never seen Vegas. So I had no idea that was the destination of my dream. So we get on the bus that's bringing us to our hotel, and I tell Greg, look, that's the big lion from my dream. Remember the golden lion? He said, Oh yeah. And then we see the guy. It's at the MGM actually. We see the guy holding the globe. Same thing as in my dream. So, and then I said, look, the overpass that was in my dream. He said, yes, I remember that. And then I look at Zita and Tom. I said, oh, it was them. So Greg said, yeah, thinking, I know you had a dream, but that's just coincidence. He said, the guy didn't say on the microphone what you said in your dream. So 2 seconds later, the guy said, oh, sorry, folks. There's a few people here who missed their stop and they're a little lost. So if you don't mind, we'll do a little detour, but we'll be right on track in about 5 minutes. So Greg looked at me and went, oh, that was your dream. So it did happen.
Incredible.
So that was the one dream. There have been a few dreams like that. When I was even younger, I'm dreaming I've never skied in my life. No downhill skis, no cross-country skis, anything. So in my dream, I'm sitting talking to somebody, and I can see in the background there's a guy and there's a rack of ski boots. And the gentleman came to us and said, sorry girls, we kind of lost your boots, but I'm sure we can find them again. I can't see the face of the girl sitting that I'm talking to. So about, I don't know, 5 years after that, I go on a ski trip. I've never been on skis, so that was my first ski trip ever. And so after the skiing, we go to the lodge to get our boots back and bring back the equipment. So I'm looking at my friend, and then I see, it hit me, déjà vu, Mm-hmm. I see in the background the guy, I see the racks with the ski boots, and sure enough, I smiled. I told my friend, oh, it was you. And she says, what do you mean? I said, just wait a minute. So the guy came to us and said, sorry, ladies, we kind of lost your boots, but let me look around and we'll find them very shortly, I'm sure. So another thing that happened years after I dreamt about it. Other dreams. At work. We're going for lunch. It's always the same girls going for lunch together. And this one day, this one girl, Barb, didn't come with us for lunch. I had no idea where she was, and I asked people, and they said, oh, we don't know. She got a call from the parking attendant. So the night before that day, I dreamt of her. And in my dreams, we were at the top of a hill, and there was a black van at the bottom of the hill, and there's a white car that she leaned against at the top of the hill, and the car started going down the hill and hit the van on the side. And I thought, that's a really strange dream. So the next day when I'm at lunch, we're talking about Barb, so I tell everybody, hey, that's funny, I had a dream about Barb last night, and I told them what the dream was. So after lunch, everybody goes back to work, so Barb comes to see me. She said, hey, Joanne told me about your dream. She said, guess where I was at lunchtime? I said, I don't know. So she goes, the parking attendant called me because there's a white car that ran into the side of my van in the parking lot.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so my life has been quite exciting with events like that. I've had the spiritual,
Yes.
I don't know, you call it experiences,
Mm-hmm.
or this one time, well, there's things I have to say about my private life. They're very important because of what I'm gonna say, my testimony kind of thing.
Yeah.
We were abused by a priest when we were young, in our home. So for years and years, I had dreamt about this person in black, didn't know what it was about. And so one weekend, it was a Mother's Day weekend, I remember, my sister, who's very spiritual, she said, I'm going on a retreat. It's a Christian retreat, and they're supposed to heal all things that you've gone through, sufferings and all that. So I thought, hey, that's nice. I'll do it for her. Mother's Day. She had 6 children. That'll be nice. It's not for me. It's for her. Like, determined, it's not for me. That's very important. So I have forgiven the priest, but still it always lingers in your mind, in the background. So we go to the retreat, and it's a big mass. There's hundreds and hundreds of people. And we get to our seat. And so I look up at the front, and the priest is talking, and suddenly all I can see, it's as if everybody disappears. And the priest and I are the only ones in the room. So it like hit me like you wouldn't believe. It's as if he came really, really close to me. And so I thought, okay, something's going on. And suddenly I hear people, they call it singing in tongues or talking in tongues. I don't know how to say it in English.
Speaking in tongues.
Speaking in tongues.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at my sister beside me, and they're all standing up, and I'm standing up, and suddenly they start this singing, and I realize everybody around me, it's like there's a square of people doing that. And suddenly I feel like something hits behind my knees, and I fell down to my knees. And I felt heat coming from one shoulder to the next in my back, and then down my spine. It was like a cross going up and down, and I see the priest, and every time I look at him it gets stronger. It felt so good. Like I felt like I was loved, that this warm, it's like a warm embrace. It was so funny, but it was always a cross sign in my back. And I'm trying to get up, and for some reason my legs won't get straight. I can't get up, and suddenly they stop singing, and my sister looks at me and she says, "Are you okay? Why are you kneeling? What's going on?" And then I get up. I was able to finally get up, and then I said, "Well, you were singing in tongues." She says, "No, I wasn't. I'm listening to the priest." And I'm like, "All right." And then suddenly they start again. They start singing. My sister is just looking up front, and she's just straight, and they start singing again, and sure enough, the same thing happened to me. And the cross, the nice cross, warm cross in my back, and I felt so good. Something was lifted, And after, like, they stop singing again, I get up, the mass is over, and my sister says, "We have to go at the front, and if you want," and they give us, you pick up a little piece of paper from a basket, and it's supposed to talk to you and say why you're here. So I said, sure. I believe in God, I really do, but yeah.
It sounds a little like fortune cookies.
Yes. And still I thought, okay, I'm there for her, right? Mm-hmm. So I pick up the piece of paper and I walk away and I look at it. It says, "I lifted your weight from your childhood abuse. You can now walk with a light, I don't know how to say it, of a light walk, like I can go now and it's no longer a weight on my shoulders." And I just started bawling. I thought, okay, this is it. The priest, childhood, everything I felt had to do with that. So for some reason after that, never had my dreams about the priest. I really think something happened there. Mm. So that was just the beginning. That's just the beginning of the weekend. On Mother's Day, the next day, so we go back to the church, and then the priest is saying, all the mothers come at the front and all that, and then he says, Actually, every woman is like a mother. You always take care of everybody around you. You protect the people, you serve them. You're all mothers. So why don't you all come to the front of the church? So I go there. So the priest is going to each of us, each of the women, and he's blessing us. And he's got a lady standing beside him. So I'm like, okay, this is cool. But he goes like this in front of me. He goes like this with his hand. And as when he reached my stomach, I went like this. And then he went again and again. I went, he said, close your eyes. So I closed my eyes. And then he said, you have been abused by a priest. I relieve you of all that pain. And he's a priest. I'm like, how can he be saying that? And then with my eyes closed, what I could see, I swear, I think it was the Virgin Mary and Jesus standing beside me. Like, it was so amazing. And then I remember I felt like I was being lifted. And then I lied down on the ground, but they didn't lift me. Actually, for some reason, I lied down on the ground with some other people. That's what I've been told after. I could hear the priest do the whole mass. And what I could see, it was so amazing. It's like I was flowing. I'm floating up in the air, and then I see people crying. I see a lot of sand, and there's people crying. And then I look and I could see, it's as if I'm looking at the top of my head. Then I see this lady crying and a guy trying to help her up. And then I thought, this is really strange. So I looked at on my right, and I see my arm, my hand, and there's a nail in my hand. I look to my left, and there's a nail in my other hand. And then I look down at my body, and it's not me. It's like the Christ on the cross, honestly. And it's Mary crying there. And that, I felt so loved. I can't even explain. Like even now when I talk about it, I can feel something inside of me, you know. And then I saw white wings coming out of my stomach, of Jesus' stomach, really. I thought they were angels just flowing out. And I could hear some nice music, and they were just flowing and flying away. And then suddenly I started laughing, and I hear the priest saying, somebody's being liberated. This is love. This is happiness. And then not too long after that, I wake up, and the mass is over, and I wake up, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Why am I here? And suddenly there's an old lady that came to me. She's crying, I want to touch your hand. And she kissing my hand, and I saw it. I could see the angels, and she said, I could see the angels coming out of you. And I'm like, oh my God. And then my sister, who's very religious, who has been in church for many, many years, says, oh, I'm so jealous. Oh my God, I can't believe you actually experienced this. Mm-hmm. Every time I think about that, it just makes me feel so good inside. Like, I know I'm loved, and I can't deny that there is something out there, you know?
And
I really
you're someone
can't.
who radiates that when, you know.
I believe in God.
I've always sensed something in your aura or in your presence. There's the warmth and openness and a kindness.
Thank you.
And so I think that was probably there before those experiences, and yet you had so much weight and such a torment about you, and to be liberated in such an astonishing fashion, especially to have someone, you know, witness what you were seeing yourself.
I know, I was so amazed when the lady said that. So that was the whole weekend, and I gave my sister a big hug, and I said, and I thought I was coming here for you. And I was the one who got freed, and that was amazing. My sister Julie, my youngest sister, when my mom passed away, she wanted to go see a person who gets messages from angels.
Yes.
I believe in that, but I'm still skeptical. You know, I think it's fixed and all that. So we did go and see a lady. And on my way there, I said to my sister, I want Mom to talk to you. And all I want to know is if she made it all the way to heaven. If she's done, because my mom suffered, she had MS all her life.
Oh.
Since she was 35. She had 6 children. I mean, she gave her life for everybody. She always cared about everybody else but not herself. And she really believed in God. So I was hoping that she had gone all the way to heaven. So we go to this place, and I'm sitting, you know, front row with my sister, but it's not the very front row. Like, there's about 20 rows, then there's a passage or an aisle, and then there's another set of rows. And I see the lady going to our left, and I say, she's going to come to us and say that somebody's trying to trip her. So my sister looks at me, she says, what are you talking about? Shh, listen, listen. So the girl's talking. She says, oh, I'm going to go on the right. So she walks in front of us and trips. And she's like, oh, something's happening here. So she goes on the other side. I told my sister she's going to do it again. And she's going to say somebody's tripping her. And she's going to ask which one of us she should talk to. My sister said, oh, come on. You can't, it's impossible. You can't. Why are you saying this? She says, it's just because you want Mom to talk to us. I said, well, probably. You know, because I say it, I never used to say out loud what I thought. But now I start saying it, and people see that it's true, right? So, yes, again, the lady came by, and she tripped, and she said, okay, if I don't stop here, this person is tripping me. If I do not stop here, I'm going to fall on my knees. And she looked at both of us, and she said, which one of you should I talk to? So I went like this, and I pointed at my sister. So she starts talking at my sister. She holds my sister's hands, and the first thing she does, the lady looks at me, and it was so weird because it looked like a robot. She just looks at me and she says, yes, Numaka, I made it all the way. Now I started crying, and I started crying because Numaka is a word that my mom and her sisters had invented. They had made up that word. So I knew my mom was telling me she made it all the way. And yeah, I cried so much. And then I didn't hear what she told my sister, but oh my God, that was amazing. And that same night, there was a lady there, and I said, she came to talk to me when a girl that was working with my sister, hi, I've heard about you, Monique, and all that. And my sister told me that she lost her younger sister earlier that year, and she was really distraught, and she wanted her sister to come through. She didn't. But what I told her helped her. I said, and I knew her sister had passed away, and I didn't want to talk about it. But I said, you know, when my mom passed away, for at least a month, every day somebody would call me. Then the phone number was all zeros, and it's as if somebody was there, and I would say, hello, hello. And there was, I don't know, it was as if somebody was there, and as if you can hear some staticky noise in the back, and I would say, is this Mom? And then it would stop. For a month, it did that. So the girl jumped in my arms. She took me in her arms, and she starts crying, and she said, my sister's been telling me I've been receiving all this Euro's phone number, and there's static. She's been telling me it's my young sister. She knows for sure. And you just confirmed what I wanted to know when I was coming here. So it's those experiences in life are the best, you know.
That's astounding. So when the call stopped, was it just
I guess
What,
because
what type of phone was it at that time? What
it's a
kind of?
landline.
Yeah,
It was a
a
landline.
landline, and then you just hear
Oh, the
the
next
dial
time,
tone, or
the next time I got that phone call,
yeah.
my mom always used to call me first person on my birthday every year. She was always the first. Call me at work.
Yes, yes.
I got that phone call at work. That same phone call on my birthday, and I said, "Yes, Mom, I know it's you because you always call me first. Thank you for wishing me a happy birthday." So I really believe that it was her, you know, and I still get some signs from her sometimes.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so amazing.
Yes.
That's wonderful. I wonder if we should put a little bit more light on you before
Okay.
the next.
I'm almost done though.
Oh, okay. Well, it's nice atmosphere.
Wait.
So
Okay.
please just
Okay.
continue, and as long as you like.
Well, I'm just talking about the ones that really, like, I really remember vividly. After my mom had passed away, my sister, spent the night at my sister, my baby sister, Julie, were really close. And I didn't work in the morning, so she said, "Okay, why don't you drive your car to the parking lot of your building? Because I work close to where she lives." She said, "I'll pick you up, and then we'll go to the restaurant together." So on my way to my work, I get to a red light. I stop and I looked at my car, at my sister in the rear view mirror, and my mom is sitting beside her. And she's looking at her with a big smile. And I see her, like, as well as I see you, she looked real, like she was a passenger in her car, like for real. So I park my car and I go in her car, and then she's very sensitive, my sister, so I wasn't sure. I said, "Julie, there's something that happened while I was driving, and I'm not sure if I should tell you, because I don't want to scare you." She goes, "Yes." "I saw Mom looking at you, and she was sitting right here where I am, and I saw her as clear as I see you." She goes, "Oh my God, thank you for telling me this." She said, "I went to there's an Angel Boutique
Oh, yeah.
store on the Quebec side. My sister went there, that was a Friday, went there on the Wednesday. A lady walked in the store, went to see my sister, and she said, "I have to tell you, I have a message. Your mother is your passenger in your car, and she's smiling at you, and she's watching over you and your children." So my sister said, "You just confirmed what the lady told me."
Well, that is
So
so remarkable.
So now, because I thanked my mom, first of all, for not appearing beside me in my car or in my back seat, because I would have had an accident. You know.
My niece has had that experience with
Oh,
her
oui.
great-grandmother, who
Oh.
she didn't know well, but she had met when she was very little. And
Oh, oui.
well, I'll just tell very quickly because it's an interesting story as well, that she was driving home from one town to our hometown, because she'd been
Right.
going to school in one town, and I won't reveal who she is. I'll interview her another
Right.
time.
Oh, cool.
But she was on the highway, and my grandma, her great grandma, appeared in the back seat and said,
Oh,
"I'll make up a name,
right.
Jill.
Okay.
Pull off, exit the highway at such and such
Right.
an exit, or at the next exit. I think she actually named it." And Jill said, "But well, why?" And she said, "Well, I mean." Jill was kind of used to sometimes seeing people who
Oh, really?
passed on
Okay.
or
Okay.
were in another dimension. I don't know, but my grandma said to her, "Well, there's a big accident on the highway ahead, and so turn off."
Oh,
And
so
sure
she
enough,
oh,
the next
wow.
day, she
She-
read that at that very stretch of highway there was
Oh.
a big accident,
Oh, wow. So she did come
and
to her.
she saw her more than one time, a number of times in her
It's just
in her
the
car.
mosquitoes, yeah.
And
Okay, wow.
so,
Well, if it wasn't my car, I think I'd be freaked out.
yes,
But the fact that it was in my sister's car,
Mm-hmm.
but it's neat that you can see people more than once.
yes.
I've actually asked my mom not to show herself anymore. It's just
And-
because I said,
Yeah.
because I can feel her presence in my bedroom.
Yeah.
I feel her touch on my arm
Oh,
sometimes.
is that
I
right?
wake up and I can feel, like when she was dying, I was at the hospital, and I
Yes.
always did this to her arm. Like I was always brushing her arm, saying, "It's okay, Mom. If you want to go, I love you." And at least a month, like I said, with the phone calls, at least a month, my mom, I would wake up and I could feel somebody brushing my arm. So I told her, I said, okay,
Beautiful.
I don't want to see you. I know you're here. I love you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically the most eventful, I guess, items that have happened to me, and it's so nice to be able to share that.